Yup. The Springboks, the Springbok brand is at the moment the greatest brand in South Africa. And everybody wants to be associated with the Springbok brand. In this video, I will talk about why I think that is the best marketing strategy ever. What happened during this World Cup, the Rugby World Cup of 2023? It changed, revived, and it gave a huge boost to the game of rugby. Normally with marketing, you want to evoke emotion. Any brand, you want to evoke emotion. You want to be the talking point. You want to instill pride. You want people to talk about your brand. You want to be in the hearts and the minds of people. And the Springbok brand did exactly that. The win of the Springboks at the Rugby World Cup final in 2023 was a masterstroke in marketing and advertising for rugby. Why did I think that it was necessary to make a video about it? It is to look at the history of rugby. Previous years, before 1994, South Africa was not allowed to play international rugby. For a certain amount of years, they did try, but after a while the world said no, because of apartheid. You cannot play against other players. So all our sporting codes, you couldn't compete internationally. For any South African athlete, no matter how good you were, if you wanted to compete on the international stage before 1994, you had to become a citizen of another country. Rugby has been perceived as a white man's sport, an Afrikaner sport specifically, even though the origins of rugby is being recorded as started, according to the history of rugby, it started in England. And it was an accidental game when a boy by the name of Webb Ellis, that's why it's the Webb Ellis Cup, it was a soccer game, and then he picked up the ball and he started running and carried over the try line. So now that version is disputed. So actually there's no clear history of where the game of rugby started. But in South Africa, being a white Afrikaner male, it was required, compulsory, and a must for you to play rugby. Even though rugby was being played in Black Township, specifically the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape, in many other provinces, rugby was being played in Free State. It was being played all over, but it wasn't recognized as much as the white rugby unions. So as South Africans, we had a completely negative feeling towards rugby. And even today, even though it's almost 30 years after 1994, 30 years after our first democratic election, it's 23 years after we won the first Rugby World Cup, there are still South Africans who will never support the Springboks, who hate the green and gold with all their heart because of how they felt about the game during the apartheid years. So you can't change their minds. They don't see it as part of them. So this is where I feel what happened now, it was a masterstroke. But a marketing campaign can only win when people buy into it. We bought into the marketing campaign of rugby. Number one, when there was a black captain that was chosen in 2019, when Siya Kolisi represented South Africa as the Springbok as the captain. when he became the captain for the first time, it was the first time that a black person became the captain of the rugby, the national rugby team in South Africa. That was the first marketing strategy. It played huge dividends because with that, even though not to take anything away from how well he played, it's not about the quality of the play, even though they chose the best players. But that was part already. It touched the heart of people and it brought more people to the game. Because let's face it, when we see someone looking like us winning games, then you start taking an interest, white or black. That was masterstroke number 1. Then, when they started winning their matches, masterstroke number 2. That's marketing. It's advertising. Everybody wants to be associated with a winning team. Then the image of the game. It became a game of inclusivity. It became a game of diversity. It became a game of unity. It became a game of family, where the family unit was being focused on support, where we're not playing just for the game, but we're playing for the country. We're playing for the brand. So all of these elements, all these factors combined, contributed, culminated into making this the most successful marketing strategy ever. Another myth that was debunked. When it was time, or it was demanded and pressure was being put on your cricket and your rugby teams, which were predominantly white teams, when pressure was being put on them to now start including players of color or black players. When I say black players, it's everyone who's not white. When they were now sort of forced to include these players, the quota system was there, which was a huge bone of contention. And the attitude or the perception was almost there. You are there not because you could play well, but because you are of a player of color. What this team also debunked. And the message that kept on coming through from both the coach as well as I think Rassie is the director of rugby, the coach, and Jacques Ninaber, as well as Rassie Erasmus, and every single person who spoke, whether it was a team player or whether it was someone from management, the message that came through over and over again, it is the best players were selected. We chose the players because of their work ethic, their contribution, their discipline, their attitude, their willingness to become part of the team. There were no stars, no individual players that were singled out. It was the team unit that was the focus. And you were chosen as a player when you contribute to the overall performance of the team. That's another master stroke, because immediately the perception of quota players, because the perception also for many years we heard they only play wings. They could only be developed as wings. The other players, it had to be white players. That was also something that changed. So as the game changed, the message changed, the whole setup of the team, it changed. What happened in South Africa? SA Rugby, they won more supporters than ever. More South Africans who before had no interest in the game, now they wanted to become part of rugby. They started following players. They started learning about the rules. They started watching the matches. And what's going to happen next? Because now they've won the World Cup. These players are going to go back to their individual teams, whether here or abroad. But what's going to happen is that in South Africa, we are now going to start looking where these players are going to play, where the next matches will be. And South Africans again will go they will go in their numbers to support a specific player because they are partner of the team. Like if it's a Shark player, they're going to follow the team. That translates into revenue. That translates into feel good. More boots, more feet walking towards stadiums, it's more money. And at the end, marketing is about creating a brand and then making money so that when people buy into your brand, they want to spend money. And how do clubs make money? Merchandise, sponsorship, and ticket sales. And that's going to happen. And that's why this is the most successful brand at the moment in South Africa, because it's associated with feel good, it's associated with unity, with bringing us together, with winning, with success, with making a mark, with change, with hope. And that is when you have a marketing strategy and you get people to smile when they think about your brand, when you get people excited about your brand, it's a winning marketing strategy. And many marketing strategies are won when you spend the money before the time to lay the foundation. They created the hype, they created the excitement, but the team managed to carry it off. They managed to deliver on the expectation. They managed to make us more excited. So now, where before rugby was a game for white Afrikaners, it was being perceived that way, it was being promoted that way, it was being played by only Afrikaner males. Now, it's being portrayed as a game for all South Africans. It's portrayed as a game of where when you have enough talent, regardless of where you come from, when you work hard, you forget your ego, you play every game if it's your last game, and you develop your talent, then you have a chance now of becoming a Springbok, wearing the national teams. Masterstroke. Regardless of how you feel about the past of rugby, what they've managed to do now, what they've succeeded in doing is rewrite the past, not with words or expensive campaigns, but just by focusing on the players, just by creating a winning team, by changing the setup and the demographics of the player, by choosing the best team to win this World Cup. That's marketing. And there you have it. And that's just my opinion of why I think this is the biggest marketing strategy ever. Because for those who hated the game, they will always hate the game because of the history. But there's a new generation of South Africans who will now support rugby, who before it was unthinkable to even mention rugby in their presence. And this is what the brand has done. This is what winning does. This is what feel good does. And that's where we are at. So let me know what you think, whether you agree or you don't agree, but please let me know, and please like, share, comment, and most important, please subscribe to this channel. Have a wonderful day and keep on watching. I will be making more videos of Jacques Nienaber as well as Rassie Erasmus. Thank you for watching.